What's up, YouTube? Musty Hobbit back, and I have some more games to show off. I wanted to get another episode of the ColleXion Chronicles out before Portland, and I happened to come across some things over the past couple weekends that I thought were worth showing off. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I had picked up, I'd mentioned the oh-so fantastic table of inexpensive games at my local game shop, and happened to pick up another couple of games that were all quite affordable, so never want to pass up on those when they show up. So these are all for the Xbox 360, which is a system that I got on launch, and I have played a lot of, and I just never, I'd always traded my stuff in for that one too. So I'm now to the point where I really want to start getting the games that I want and the best of the best for that system. So I have gone ahead and picked up some staples, in my opinion. So we have Dragon Age 2. Played through this. I like this. This one, I know some people aren't as big of a fan as they were of the first one, but I enjoyed this one quite a bit. This one, not as well received. In fact, I picked it up more because of the kind of stigma around this game. This is Two Worlds. Again, another sort of action RPG for the system, but this I think overpromised, and at least the second game really underdelivered. So I thought I would pick that one up. Another action-esque RPG, but in a series that I absolutely adore, and that's Lord of the Rings: War in the North. And so again, you have your party of three, and they all have sort of you got your ranger, your elf wizard, and your dwarf, and you can sort of play through a story that's happening in conjunction with everything that's happening in the series, and you can sort of see hints of that as you play through it. I'd recommend this. It's actually a lot of fun. And this one actually has two games in it. So you have Marvel Ultimate Alliance and Forza Motorsport 2, and both are there. These are both games that are... I know Marvel Ultimate Alliance just got a recent re-release that kind of annoyed some people on the Xbox One, so finding this for cheap was good deal for me. And the fact that it comes with Forza on the has its own disc for Forza is excellent. I don't play racing games as much as I used to, but the Forza series is wonderful. And then this is one of, again, a big flagship franchise for Microsoft that I have not played. I have not played this specific entry, and that's Gears of War 3. I played 1 and 2, but have not played this one yet. So I managed to pick this up, and then later on I hit up a thrift shop, and coincidentally enough, the strategy guide for Gears 3 was there. So now I have the initial 3 Gears games. I know that I have at least Judgment downloaded. It was a Games with Gold a while back, but I need to play through 3. Probably should play it before I play 4, which is out like now. So we'll definitely dive into that at some point. Some additional 360 stuff that I picked up just recently, and I kind of made the decision that I want to pick up Kinect Games. I have a young son who is on the verge of probably wanting to join his father in his hobby, and I thought this might be a nice casual way to get him involved with some things that are a little bit more oriented to his age range. And so picked up a couple of Kinect titles. We have Kinect Disneyland Adventures, Kinectimals. This is not the one that has bears. There's another version that's Kinectimals now with bears. But this is the one with just mostly the cats. And then Child of Eden, and I know this probably won't be in his wheelhouse, but Child of Eden is kind of like a res-like rail shooter. And you can use your controller if you don't want to use the Kinect, but you basically will, you'll have your cursor, and you move the cursor around the screen, and then you can do different sort of things with your hand to sort of have different attacks happen. So I remember getting this when it launched. I don't think it reviewed well, and I ended up trading it back relatively quickly. But again, I think it might even be. Yes, it is by the creator of Rez, so it definitely has some influence there. 2 more 360 games, and then I've got a couple more things to show off. This was a launch title, one that I played at launch, and I really enjoyed it, and that's Cameo, Elements of Power. This, if you haven't played this, I would highly recommend it. It is on Rare Replay, so if you do pick that up, you have a copy. It's a lot of fun, and you kind of use these different characters, and you morph Cameo into these different sort of elemental individuals. There's a dragon, and there's a guy who's sort of more plant-based, and there's like an ice yeti, and you use those different individuals to accomplish and get past different obstacles in the missions that you're accomplishing. But I would recommend it if you haven't, and again, if you already have Rare Replay, you already have Cameo. The last 360 game that I picked up is one that I have an inkling that this game may spike in price at some point. There are lawsuits going on with this production company that is no longer in business, and it. So if you're at all familiar with the former Red Sox and Diamondbacks pitcher Curt Schilling, he was a big fan of EverQuest, and I know that he decided that he wanted to go into making video games, and so I think the one game that they put out before it all came crashing down was Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, and again, this is an action RPG. I know that you can definitely seek out some reviews. I know the Cartridge Bros did a review of this game, but yeah, this game has some major firepower in it behind the writing. Ari Salvatore and then Todd McFarlane had a hand in this as well. But I would suggest seeking this out. This is still an inexpensive game, but at some point, I don't know what this lawsuit, or if the lawsuit has yet been dismissed, but I get the feeling that this game may be a little more sought after at some point, although I'm pretty sure copies are pretty prevalent, because I think it sold relatively well. The other thing I picked up then, I saw this in a clearance bin at a GameStop, and it is a GameStop exclusive. And it is a figure of Spartan Locke from Halo 5. And so for those of you not familiar with Halo 5, maybe you're familiar with Luke Cage or Jessica Jones, but the same actor who plays Luke Cage was modeled for this character and played this character in Halo 5. So nice clean figure. It is a GameStop exclusive version. And it'll go really nicely in my little Halo shrine that I have going over there. So pick that up for just a couple bucks. The last couple things, 3 more things to go. These are all original Xbox, and again, another strategy guide. I lucked out and picked up some relatively good strategy guides recently, but I managed to get a copy of the first Knights of the Old Republic. And this may be, I'm going to say, top 3 for original Xbox games for me. This is a BioWare game, and you can see, I've mentioned this before, but you can see the roots of this game in everything that they've done since then. So if you haven't played this, go play it. The storyline is awesome, and it's great to live in the Star Wars universe, but not be tied to the Skywalker saga, to be able to actually see the world as it used to be. This takes place about 500 years prior to the Empire and all of that. So seek this game out if you haven't. But yeah, I've got a nice strategy guide, which is always nice, because especially with RPG style games, because you get to see weapon stats and where you can find these specific things, or what types of characters drop what. So seek this out. And the last 2 games are Xbox games, and I wanted to find these because these games have a reputation. They are not games that I'm going to say that I'm overly proud to own, but they're at least interesting, and it kind of fits with what I think the persona of an Xbox gamer was in the early 2000s. So the first of which is a game. It is a simulation of a magazine mogul and sort of reliving this person's life, and that is Playboy The Mansion. So you play as Hugh Hefner, as a young Hugh Hefner who is trying to build this magazine empire, but it plays like The Sims, and actually a fairly reasonable translation of The Sims for a non-PC environment. It controls relatively well. You kind of throw parties, and you have to sort of put together the magazine at the same time, so you need to find people to write the articles, you need to find people to do the photo shoots and things like that. It's interesting, but I now have this and very, very nice, clean copy of that. The other game I'm going to say is, like I said, this has a reputation, and it's a game that I'm just, there you go. It's the Guy game. This game, there's a story behind it. There, again, seems like there's just lawsuits all over the place with the games that I've picked up here. There was a lawsuit. The story was, okay, so let me explain the game. So the game is a take on a game show where you are watching a trivia show at, like, spring break. And if the girls get the questions wrong, they, in classic early 2000s, had to flash the audience. And so you play the game and have to sort of guess if they're going to guess it right or wrong. And then you have other mini games that are happening in between this. Now, the story is that one of the girls in this game signed the contract, was part of this whole thing, and then it was later found out that she was underage, which really spiked the price of this game. Now, the copy I have here doesn't have the manual. I know I could pick one up for a couple of bucks. I don't know that I will play this game, but it is one that is a conversation starter and kind of an interesting piece to have in the collection, despite being having the kind of reputation and story behind it. So, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. This has been the Collection Chronicles pre-Portland edition. I expect that I will be coming back from that event with a handful of things to show you. I will likely do some kind of merged episode with Collection Chronicles and Musty's Quest, as I've done with other large events, but I am really looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing a lot of my fellow Cartridge Club members. And Rob from NES Depot just told me that he's going to be heading out to Portland as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Just recently, Cartridge Club News, we finished Beyond Good and Evil was the game of the month for September. I played that on the HD version for the 360 and finished it. For the first time I've finished Beyond Good and Evil. And October, I always play a spooky game. We are playing Dead Space. So I played through Dead Space back in 2009. I'm looking forward to playing through it again. I have a few, I think I have 3 achievements left that will necessitate another playthrough on the hardest difficulty. So I am looking forward to doing that, and then we will continue on for the rest of the year. But again, I've got to get ready for Portland, and I am psyched. So for now, I have been Musty. Take care of yourself, and be good to each other.